a company called Inventus that Rob McEwen and McEwen Mining are investors in. And what they are is they're looking, well, they have not looking, they have a conglomerate gold discovery in Sudbury, Ontario. Now, conglomerate gold is not what we hear a lot in North America about, but it's one of the most important sources of gold anywhere in the world that came from the Witwatersrand project in South Africa. At one time, I think they were producing over 50% of all the gold in the gold mining space from that Witwatersrand conglomerate project. And so Inventus has a conglomerate discovery in Sudbury, Ontario. I'm going to pull, this is what the conglomerate looks like. So it's not actually in these big boulders or big rocks here, if you will. It's in the matrix, which is in between those bigger boulders. Uh, One of the things they're working on that I find quite interesting is they're looking at ore sorting, where they would take out these boulders and then they would be, let's say that makes up 30% of a package of rock. So you take a ton or 20,000 tons of these and you get rid of all those boulders. That that does is it concentrates the gold. Instead of having a ton worth of a bunch of these boulders, you're now just having that taken away. So it upgrades your concentrate. And so they're currently doing, I think it's about 80 drill holes on a grid pattern. Let me just open up this presentation because I can show you with pictures here what it's all about. Okay, so there is the conglomerate that comes right to surface. They took a 1,000 ton bulk sample and it had 4.2 grams per ton of gold, which is quite exceptional because you're literally it's coming right out of the ground and it's in a bed, if you will, like a swimming pool or something at the bottom of it. And there is where you have the conglomerate. And so they're doing a series of these holes to get an average grade for the entire conglomerate. But it's open to get even bigger than what they've known. Look at some of this gold, how that's this image here. Just beautiful looking free gold in that conglomerate. Um, but there was oh, here, this map shows you where they're doing their grid drilling with about 80 holes, I think it is. It's underway. Those results are pending, so pay attention. We'll be paying a lot of attention to Inventus as they have more results. But this is just sort of scratching the surface, if you will, because there's a lot of room. This is an important slide here. Uh, as you can see, this is very fine grained gold. And there was a very big promotion and excitement over a conglomerate discovery that was made in Australia about 3 or 4 years ago. But what made it different than Witwatersrand is that it had these nuggets of gold that were sort of sporadically distributed throughout the conglomerate. And so sporadic distribution is not that good because you can process a bunch of material. You got no gold, and you got some gold, and you got no gold, and you got some gold. And they tried to mine it, and it didn't work because it was different than Witwatersrand. What made Witwatersrand so exceptional is the distribution of this fine gold was pretty homogeneous throughout the conglomerate. And so that's why this picture is important, is because you have this fine grain gold that is well distributed throughout the conglomerate. So This is a very, I mean, nobody's really paying too much attention to it. I think their valuation is like $8 million Canadian or something like that. But here's another important slide. This purple stuff is sort of where their advanced exploration is happening right now. But you can see that this mustard colored here, it actually extends quite a long ways. And there's a potential that, this could just be like a starter and you just keep going and going and going like they did at Witwatersrand. I think it's been in production for over 100 years. And so here, this gives you an idea of McEwen Mining owns 6%, and Rob McEwen personally owns 20%. And so here again, you've got a company that really not many people are paying attention to. Rob McEwen's an early investor, as is McEwen Mining. And I think he's recognized some of these key things that I see, which is this nice distribution of gold, fine grain gold that is well distributed throughout the entire conglomerate unit. Lots of drilling happening to assess that distribution of the gold. They got a lot bigger target to keep going after, and some beautiful gold on it as well. You get some of these thicker pieces, and this is almost like all these little fine grained pieces came together and sort of glued together into one bigger. It's not a nugget really. It's sort of a accumulation of fine grained gold, but it's a beautiful sample. So that's the Inventus story. Here's again their horizon, and it just keeps on going and going and going. Um, so doing a lot of drilling, and this is another and the final example of Rob McEwen recognizing a project before the crowd comes, and I do believe that the crowd is going to come into Adventus. I'm not a shareholder yet, but I'm going to be.